church member that leaves the church, did get disciplined out, but maybe it wasn't quite everything that you would like it to be, and you're still really kind of wary about his or her relationship with the people of your church. And it seems like that he's more friendly with the people of the church now that he or she are gone than he was or she was when they were there. In the constant communication, you're not seeing that his impact on the church is actually one of spiritual growth. It seems like if it does anything, it keeps it the same or worse. And you know, it can be a difficult situation. I think it has to be handled the same way, and that is, if you see signs that it's having an impact towards sin or towards false doctrine or causing division, I think right when you see it, you have to deal with it. There are times you think it might be going on, but you actually have to see something, I think, first, and then deal with it.
I would add to that the Romans 16 passage that says mark and avoid. So they're to be clearly labeled and then avoided. And in order to mark, the people have to know who the person is. You know, so I think there's where an instance of naming names, like Paul does in 1 Timothy, where the people clearly know who this person is, what they're doing, and stay away from it.
Alexander the coppersmith didn't mean much evil.
Yeah, that's right.
Be thou aware also. He was outside at this time.
Yeah.
Timothy, beware of him. You can't, Paul said the Lord reward him according to his work. So you can pray that God will deal with this person. You can't do anything. He's not even in the church, but you can say, Lord, please do what you do. And you church members, beware of him.
And that brings up the personal responsibility of each church member, again, to not only maintain purity in the church, but to maintain the separation.
Right.
I think in many instances, were you going to say something?
Yes, I had one personal glimpse relative to that. There was a situation that arose many years ago. A man who was not a member of our church, who attended frequently, but he had a vendetta against pastoral leadership authority, and over a period of a couple of years wrote numerous letters and sent them out to every family in the church, criticizing me as the pastor as well as the former pastor of the church. And of course I warned the church publicly about him, but there came a time when I drafted a letter. It was a letter of rebuke to this man, and I asked the men of the church to sign that letter. And as far as I know, they all did. And we mailed that letter, and every man in the church signed it. And he saw, we're not going to listen to you. So cease and desist.
There was a unity that spoke. I mean, that unity speaks even to angels and so forth.
Yeah.
So we should pay attention to it.
I was thinking of Acts 20 again, but it seems like that this is one of the ways you can see a wolf, and that is it says to draw away disciples after them.
Yes.
So they're not trying to help you get close to Christ or respect pastoral leadership or be obedient to the Bible, but they just want you to be closer to them, to the actual person. And I wonder about that kind of relationship that seems to be getting a bunch of people close to a particular personality, but it doesn't seem to be actually causing people to follow Christ more. And it seems like that sometimes the wolf, I say sometimes, it's almost always that the wolf is calling your weaker members.
Absolutely.
And contacting your weaker members to have an impact. And you see this as well, I think, in 1 Timothy, and that they'll try to draw away certain women. They might go after the woman like Satan did. 1 Timothy 2 says that Adam was not deceived, Eve was deceived. So there's a certain vulnerability, God-ordained vulnerability, and I believe the wolf will also often go after that vulnerability that women have, that you also see in the pastoral epistles, to get into the church and draw away people based on the verse.
2 Timothy 3:6, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and learning, never able to come to knowledge of the truth.
Mhm.
I have one more question. It kind of relates in a way, and I assume this has to do with members that have been disciplined. But what do we do with members who associate themselves with unrepentant Christians?
All right. Well, this is one of those situations where I didn't, here's the person associating, I didn't do anything wrong myself, when actually the association is wrong, because the Bible actually tells you not to associate anymore. So what's the difference? Let's just make this, because that's easy to be done with the answer right now. So, that's okay, but perhaps the situation is this, and that is, you have a person that thinks, well, I want to try to help that person, after the church has already gone through the 3 steps and everything. It depends what help means. I've often found that people that want to help actually is what Scripture says it is.
That's right.
God is a help, so it has to be what God would do. What does He actually say? That would be a help, as opposed to making up something and calling it a help and saying it was help when it's actually not help. I mean, it wouldn't be help to do something different than what God said, since Scripture is sufficient. And so, if we've gone through those 3 steps, let's just say you happen to see the person again, because that sometimes they're in the community still, and you bump into them. And I know that happens here. People see the person again. What can you do at that point? I think that you either don't associate with them at all, don't have anything to do with them, because they already heard. You say, what if they, say this church is really unfriendly, they just went out and people didn't talk to me, and that's really mean, and really it's a bunch of really extra scriptural psychobabble. What you want, really, anything, if you're going to say anything, is just give them a verse that relates to whatever their problem is. But
I have instructed our people when we discipline someone that if they, as members, participating members of the church, associate with and violate the scriptural directive concerning how we are to react to disciplined members, they also will be subject to church discipline.
That's exactly what we do, and we all agree on it. When we discipline, then we say, if anyone violates this, we're all going to agree right now that you'll also be dealt with as an offender.
it's a good idea. It's the way to do it.
I think it's just scriptural,
Yeah. Goes into
It's
that.
amazing when we moved to code on the name, we both come up with the same thing.
Amen.
Never met, how could that be, if it's not, it's scriptural.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Scripture says this is how you do it, and so if you don't do it that way, you're also not violating Scripture.
That's right.
So,
It's willful.
yeah,
It's willful.
and that can be factious as well.
Absolutely.
A person sympathizing with the person that is doing wrong, it's a wrong thing to do.
Thinking more highly of themselves than they ought to think.
Exactly.
That is it, yeah.
Above the authority of the church.
That is exactly
It's
it.
infecting themselves too.
Yeah.
That same spirit.
Yeah. That's it, questions?
That's all the questions.
All right, that is it